we are going to work really hard to cover a lot of ground in 60 minutes or less. For those of you who couldn't get out to Las Vegas last week for eXpCon 2023, there's a whole lot of information that comes out of a convention, right? And from a lot of different angles. So my goal today is to just give you a flavor of what those 4 days in Vegas was like. That means in trying to cover so much territory that we're not going to necessarily go like 3 or 4 layers deep on a lot of things. But again, just want to make sure that you're sort of plugged in at a high level, give you a few places where you can go and get more information on things if you need, answer any questions that you might have, and also make sure that I share a couple of freebies that came out of last week that, where those who attended were encouraged to go back and share these free resources with our teams and with our networks. So that's what we're going to do today. We will have this on replay too on the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions about how to access that at the end, let me know. If you have questions, feel free to just unmute and get those asked or throw them into the chat, and I'll make sure to check up on that periodically. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to sort of come at this from 4 different perspectives. We're going to talk about what the market messaging was at eXpCon. We're also going to talk about some of the important messages on mindset, right? When you go to a convention, one of the greatest, I think, values that you get, aside from, hearing about new things that are happening with the company that you're with, is getting that sort of shot in the arm, that rejuvenation, that sort of refocus. That sometimes we need if we get a little stale in our everyday lives. So we're going to talk a little bit about what some of those mindset messages were. And just a reminder to everybody, if you could please mute. We're going to talk about programs and some cool things that are happening with the brokerage now, things that were launched currently and initiatives that the brokerage is working on. And I'm just going to real briefly mention some things that are going on with KB Core. Later in the year, our Wednesday trainings are really going to dig deep into KB Core again, kind of like the boot camps that we've done in the past. So we're going to be incorporating some of these new KB Core enhancements into that training going into November and December. So we're going to, like I said, gloss over it today. So no worries. You have to get your KB Core boots on. Okay. So let's dive in. First, let's start with the market, right? What were the messages that we were getting at the convention about what's happening in the market? Well, I can tell you, I think everybody here, everybody that sees it on replay is going to say, okay, why am I tuning in, Deanna? These are things that I've already heard. We know home values are up, but maybe they are pulling back a bit, right? So price appreciation is declining. We know inventory is still terribly low. And we know that the Fed remains aggressive on interest rates. This is not new information. These are messages that we're seeing every day in our local markets. Didn't need to go to Vegas necessarily to get it. But there are some other things that are going on that you don't hear about so often. And I think it's important to remind you of these points here because it plays very high into the mindset of your buyers and sellers, the clients, the people that you're talking to, the consumers who have to make home buying or home selling decisions every day. Okay. So what is happening sort of from the consumer's perspective? Well, consumer spending continues to outpace consumer confidence. We know that with what's happening with rates, what's happening with inventory, we have a lot of buyers in the market who have been discouraged, not getting offers accepted. So consumer confidence is low, but spend remains higher. Okay. Credit card use is also at an all-time high, and personal savings are well below historic lows.
Most people who disappear to the mountains want to be alone.
Just figure out how I can mute somebody here. Okay. So again, trying to feed into what is going on with the mindset of the consumer that you're interacting with every day. Other things that we're seeing. Investors accounted for 26% of home purchases in June. So of course, we're dealing with numbers on a bit of a lag. But what I think is important to understand here is that where you might expect that would be a combination of, large groups like hedge fund groups or other type, sort of consolidated or bundled investors. That's actually not the case. A lot of these investors were home. I need to find who that is. These were small and medium-sized investors, okay? So that means that you have smaller dollars going into the market to either invest, rehab, renovate, and turn around and market for rent or market for resale. So there is opportunity to capture business there. Going back to speaking to the consumer mindset, you have a lot of homeowners who are currently at a 6% or lower interest rate on their mortgage. That doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of reasons for people to have to sell their homes if they're at that 6, 5, 4% interest rate. But it means that you have sort of a harder job ahead of you in educating sellers about what to expect, about what they can afford if they need to make a change, whether it's a relocation, an upsize, a downsize, maybe an empty nester, maybe growing a family, just helping them understand expectation-wise what a change in interest rate will look like, so that they aren't sort of dealing with sticker shock and plugging into that at a higher level, that sort of disappointment of what's going on in the market. You being the best communicator and educator puts you in great position with your clients, right? It makes you the resource and the solution. A couple of other things: mortgage delinquencies historically low. We would expect that, right? We're coming out of COVID. We're coming out of a very long moratorium period. So you don't expect a significant number of delinquencies. We are just starting to see the REO market ramp up a little bit, which is, sort of business as usual, returning to people getting past forbearance periods. If they aren't able to pay their mortgages, then banks are now beginning to take action again. But the big difference between where we are now and where we were 15 years ago is that so many borrowers, look at that number, 92% of borrowers have positive equity in their property. So when you think about all these statistics that we're hearing about the market, when you think about consumer spending, when you think about what's happening with credit card spend, inflation, we know also too, and they may have glossed over it, but unemployment is at a very low number. But there are so many things at play where you have an opportunity to get ahead of a buyer or seller's need in the real estate market, to be a source of education. Okay. So see these numbers as opportunity to position yourself now. That, what this sort of says is that you may not be able to go out today and, get 5 listings or secure contracts for 5 buyers. But what it does say is that there needs to be a lot of education, and you can anticipate a lot of change in the next 12 to 18 months, where if you're the person in front of the consumer now, they're going to be coming to you when they're ready to make that next decision or that next move. In the middle of all this, when they talked about what's happening in the market, and I apologize because my slides, I was trying to take pictures at a really fast pace, but how does our brokerage fare in all of this? I'm not going to bore you with slide after slide of, what the Kellers and the Remaxes are doing compared to us. What I think this slide does is tell you in a nutshell what you need to know. If you're an agent with eXp, the market is down. But what's fantastic is that our market share as a brokerage has expanded despite a down market. We've taken on an additional 7% of market space. And our agents are outperforming the market by 30%. So all those sort of naysayers, you always hear when there's sort of a new player in the sandbox, you always have those people that are sort of sending negative messages. So I think that's a great thing to hear about our brokerage to combat that rumor or that sort of dig. The eXp takes on all the non-productive agents in the business. It is simply not true. We are outpacing other brokerages in double digits by 30%. That's pretty remarkable. Okay. So that's sort of like, in a nutshell, broad view, not, boring you with a ton of numbers and percentages, what the convention talked about in terms of market and market space and messaging. Okay. So now let's shift a little bit, unless anybody, I'm going to check the chat real quick. unless anybody has a comment. That's a really good question. Giselle, I don't have the information necessarily about where hedge fund purchases are prevalent right now, but I do have a couple of resources that I can work on to get that information. So I will definitely put some feelers out and circle back with you. See if I can even get you connected with those resources. Okay. So let's take a shift now. Let's talk a little bit about mindset. Again, when you go to a convention like this one, you should expect to receive that sort of shot in the arm motivator. And we did not disappoint. There were a couple of good keynote speakers, but there were also some other agent presentations that I thought were really good. So I'm going to share with you, some high level details on those pieces too, not just on the keynote messaging that we received. Okay. First one I want to mention is a gentleman by the name of Mike Delpreet. Mike, I would say, is a numbers geek. And I don't think that he would take offense to the geek word. He just is absolutely obsessed with numbers. He follows real estate trends very closely. He looks at what's happening between different brokerages, and he also looks at trends that are happening overall in the industry. One of the things that he was particularly fascinated by is what is happening with technology as we see technology take on more and more responsibility, if you will, for the way that we do business, as we lean more heavily on platforms and applications to bring efficiency to our business. He really was looking closely at how platforms like Zillow or Realtor.com are playing into the role of the real estate agent in today and in the future. What I love about this is because we hear in plenty of sort of noisy channels where realtors will eventually be obsolete. And what Mike really emphasized as he did all of his sort of geeky number crunching is that all of these platforms like Zillow and Realtor.com are probably the two most visible and, of course, well-known examples that they have what's called a last mile problem. Okay. And what does that mean? Zillow is phenomenal at pulling leads into the funnel and moving them through the funnel. But the problem is, at the end of the day, Zillow doesn't have the capability, the muscle, or the personal client interaction to take the client that last mile to get them to a contract and a close and cross the finish line. So Zillow will continue to leverage their muscle at the top of the funnel and through the funnel, but they're going to continue to recognize that the agent is the last mile solution. Okay. So you need to make sure that you are leveraging yourself as that last mile solution. What does that mean? Continue to be the relationship person. Don't lose sight of that. And I think that's probably the greatest message that came out of Mike's presentation is don't lose sight of the relationship. So here's a numbers guy and I can tell you there were plenty of slides on numbers, but here is the numbers guy talking about how important it is to focus first and foremost on your relationships. Okay. We had a really awesome panel discussion on AI, artificial intelligence in real estate. There were, I think, 6 or 7 agents on the stage, all either running large teams or managing large networks of agents that were doing cool and creative things with AI. What I love about the panel and what they shared was that, first of all, they didn't for a second sort of lean into the idea that it's going to replace the agent. So kind of building off of, Mike Delpreet's message, there is still absolutely a role for the agent. This panel had the same thought. AI is about how you as an agent can enhance your business, can grow your business, give you efficiency so that you can put time back in your schedule to, hey, guess what? Concentrate on relationships. Okay. So what are some of the cool things that are being done by these high-level agents in real estate with AI? They're using AI for video production, which I think is really cool, using it to obtain and analyze market research. They're generating social media content, all with the prompts that they are feeding, whether it's into Chat GPT or some other AI platform. They are automating workflows. So they are, again, creating efficiency and restoring time into their schedule by taking things that, might have taken an hour and now building a process or a workflow in AI that will give them that time back and handle automation for them. AI has the capability of creating scripts and drip campaigns. So if you have a very specific market that you're targeting, a very specific niche or clientele that you're trying to reach and want to sort of specialize your messaging, and the drip campaigns that you're looking at, whether it's in KV Core or some other CRM, might be a little bit too generic or a little too impersonal, leverage AI to help you build out your scripts and your messaging. There's also a really cool, I learned in the middle of all this that, any of these AI platforms in and of themselves are good, but you can layer on muscles, just like you sort of layer on apps on your phone. You can layer on what's called plugins, for example, on Chat GPT. we had a team meeting yesterday, and I spent a little bit of time talking about a specific plugin called Ask Your PDF. I'm not going to do the demonstration today, but I will be putting together just a short 15-minute video to help you see the power of a PDF plugin and actually implement it if you are currently on the Chat GPT platform. But what was really cool about it was in the presentation that I gave yesterday, using Chat GPT with this plugin, I took about 15 minutes and I did two things. I needed to come up with a birthday party plan for an 11-year-old, complete with, venue, party ideas, favors, and a food plan, a menu. And then I also needed to create, I needed to analyze and then create from a marketing report, a drip campaign, a 5-piece drip campaign, 2 emails, 2 texts, and 1 voice drop. I did all of that using AI in 15 minutes. So I had my party plan, I uploaded my market report, and I had feedback on the report. It was analyzed and a drip campaign built all in less than 15 minutes. So what does that do? How much time would that have taken? I probably would have spent an hour alone just trying to Google ideas for the birthday party. And then I would have spent at least another 2 or 3 hours trying to analyze the market data and come up with messaging that I thought made sense for the market and for my clients, for my database, right? So think of the power of what that can do in your business. The idea here is that you want to be open-minded to it and start to play around, build a little time into your schedule to explore some of this, because it's super cool and can have an incredible impact on you and your business. Okay. There was one website that was referenced, which I think is pretty cool too. Something that I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time looking into, but it's called, There's an AI for that, which I stuck here at the bottom of the slide. So it's www.there'sanaiforthat.com. Basically, AI is going well beyond Chat GPT. That's just sort of the tip of the iceberg. And just like the App Store grows on your phone, so does the sort of availability of different AI platforms. So this is a great website to go to start to see what's out there and how you might leverage AI. You can go there and search if you're looking for something sort of artistic and visual or illustrative, or if you're looking for some help with scripts or blogging or, data analysis. You can get all of that. You just have to plug in what you're looking for, and then you'll get recommendations for different AI platforms that can serve your needs. Okay. So I encourage you. The message was great. That's awesome. Giselle, I'm glad that you're already plugged into that. So the message was, don't avoid it. Don't be intimidated by it, and don't think it's going to replace you. Start to think of it as sort of additional brain power, another arm, another set of hands that's going to really give you that much greater reach in your business. Okay. All right. Awesome. I'm moving along because, like I said, we're trying to cover a lot of ground. So keep in mind, if you do have any questions or any feedback you want to share, I just want you to jump in. We're coming to our first share our first freebie of eXpCon. This was from, I'm sure you probably recognize this person, Tarek El Moussa. Tarek is actually an EXP agent. I'm sure you have seen him on HGTV from his multiple television shows on flipping houses. What's really interesting to me, because I've heard Tarek talk more than once, what I think is really fascinating is I always had the impression that he was a sort of successful flipper, investor and flipper, well before he was introduced to television. And actually, the opposite is true. He met somebody who gave him the idea that the way that he was going to make it big and get out of his sort of financial troubles was to get a television show. And so he pitched a television show, Flipping Houses, having only been in the process of his first flip at the time. So I think that's really, really cool that he launched that first TV show on a wing and a prayer and had to figure out a way to raise a significant amount of capital to commit to the number of homes that he had to flip for that first year, for that first season of television filming. And his comment at eXpCon was, well, hell, I've got absolutely nothing to lose. They can take my leased car, they can take my leased television, and they can take my mortgaged house. There's really not a whole lot of value here. So I might as well just jump in and go for it. So good message there. It's kind of, he was sort of the celebrity of the whole mix. If you scan that QR code there, you're going to get access to a free copy of Tarek's book publication. It's, I think, How to Make Money in Commercial Real Estate, or something to that effect. I may not have the cash flow from commercial real estate. Full disclosure, I did not request my free copy, so I don't know what's going to happen on the back end of that. You may end up getting on an email list. It is, copy of the book is free nonetheless. Okay. All right, let's continue on. Let's talk about another agent panel discussion on luxury. And while I realize that, most of you, I'm going to assume, are not necessarily waking up each morning saying, I need to get into the luxury market, or I am a luxury agent. What I think was really good about this panel discussion is that the message applies no matter what niche you have, no matter what segment of the market you are looking to serve. Really, the mindset carries over to all of those areas, not just to luxury. And the underlying premise of the whole thing was luxury is not the dollar value of the home that you're selling, or the client, the affordability of the client that you're working with. Luxury is really about the mindset of you sort of elevating your level of service to meet the elevated needs of your clients. Okay. So what are the messages that you can take away regardless of what segment of the population you're serving as an agent? Well, first of all, education. What are you doing in your world to get better every single day? Where are you plugging in to get educated, to improve your knowledge? If you're talking specifically about luxury and you were really trying to expand your luxury, they gave some very, actionable items. Go and identify high-end properties in your market and go tour them. Go spend time in them. Consume YouTube content from agents who are teaching every day about how to, what lens to see a luxury property through, from, what a client might be looking for, special finishes, unique amenities, how a luxury client or a high-end client might look at neighborhoods or school districts, or evaluate one property against another. But the idea is, what are you doing to educate yourself every single day? Another thing that, again, take away no matter what segment of the population you're working with, how does your brand talk about you? How does your brand, how you position yourself, what you're putting out there, what your social media feeds look like, what your emails look like, what your logo looks like, all of those things, what your print postcards look like. What story are they telling about you? And how are they attracting your ideal client to you? Okay. I think bottom line, and I love this because I think if you really reflected on it, it would resonate. Your vibe attracts your tribe. See a recurring theme here? There's a lot of conversation about relationship, that we can talk about numbers all day long, but it all comes back to relationship. You are a relationship expert. So lean into that, get good at it, get better at it every day, and make sure that people know who you are, what you do, and feel connected to you in the way that you're branding and marketing yourself. Okay. So that was the conversation on luxury, but really more a conversation on mindset. Next, I want to share, this was maybe a lesser known person. I had never met Avery before eXpCon, but got to hear from her. I wanted to share her story in this training today, not because you're going to necessarily get to know Avery, not because you're going to be in the market that she's in. She's in Tennessee. I just love another example of somebody thinking outside the box and leveraging this model, what eXp can do for her to create a successful business and a successful team. So Avery is based in Tennessee. She's got a team of 50 agents, but what makes it sort of unique in what she's doing is that her 50 agents are not all in Tennessee. In fact, those 50 agents are covering more than 15 markets, close to 20 markets now, all around the United States. What they specialize in, and the reason you see the name of her team is the short-term shop, they specialize in short-term rentals that sort of expands their reach into the whole vacation and investment property resale business. Her numbers in a challenging inventory type market continue to improve, and her sales continue to grow. And what she wanted to share for 2024 in terms of agent focus, what you're doing, whether you are a team member, a team leader, an individual agent, going back to the same idea of relationship, be relatable and be genuine. Authenticity is what will ultimately connect you to the consumer. Goes back to the most basic tenet. When someone feels like they know, like, and trust you, they're going to entrust you with one of the biggest financial decisions of their life. Okay. So she said, remain focused on that. One of the things that I really liked, because it was a unique message from some of the other things that we heard at eXpCon, she said, go where the business is easiest. And she talked about how, because she's relatively new in her team, I don't want to say she's maybe more than 4 or 5 years old in what she's been building here. But she recalls how early on, when she came to eXp, she was working so hard. She felt like she needed to break into the REO business. This was like maybe right before COVID. And she was pushing and pushing and pushing and just felt like it was so hard. Meanwhile, she's not really paying attention to the fact that she's gaining some traction with second home resales and investors who were coming in looking to buy investment properties and then rent them out. And once she took a step back and sort of removed herself from the day-to-day, and she realized that she's got this sort of churning thing happening that could easily snowball into something bigger that's easy, or she can just keep, running against a brick wall trying to get into this REO business. So what she said was, as you go into 2024, take a step back and look at your business, figure out where you're having the easiest time of it, where your business is coming from, where you're having success, and lean in there and spend less time necessarily sort of trying to swim upstream with more difficult channels. Okay, if that makes sense. So I thought that was a good message. I always love to hear give more than your clients need. Under promise, over deliver is important. Relationship, but now her perspective, Avery shared, don't forget about agent relationships. They are so much more meaningful, I think, than ever when you are trying to get your buyer consideration or you're trying to get a listing. Just being able to lean on the relationships that you have with other agents in your market is huge. The other thing that's really huge, and I'll mention this again in a few minutes when we talk about some things that the brokerage is doing, how are you expanding your reach with agents in other markets beyond the market that you're in? So it's important that you know the agents that maybe you're competing with in your space. even with other brokerages. But then what are you doing to get to know agents around the country, maybe within eXp, who can be a business source for you and vice versa? Okay. And ultimately stay in touch, nurture the relationships in your life. Okay. I'm going to check the chat real quick. Oh, yes. That's great, Michelle. Thank you. The Alchemist is a book that Avery referenced, which I thought was, I probably have at least 15 different book recommendations. So, and I think I'm going to be going back, and certainly agents on my team are going to be seeing some stocking stuffers that are coming off of that list. So that's one of the other things that I'm going to try to do is put together a suggested, reading list if you're looking for some inspiration too. So thank you for that reminder, The Alchemist. Okay, let's go into keynote number 2, who was sort of the premier, if you will, keynote, Brendan Burchard. Brendan is someone where Mike is sort of the numbers geek and loves to see how real estate statistics and analytics play out. Where Brendan has really sort of dug in, he's obsessed with examining the qualities of high performers and high achievers, not just in real estate, but across all platforms and industries. But he really wanted to understand what are the commonalities of high performers in terms of personality traits. And what are their habits that you, as real estate agent, can take away and sort of reflect on that can help you move towards high performance, okay, if you're trying to improve, and level up, if you will. Here's the 5 things that he mentioned, and I appreciated his energy. And all along the way, he was sort of recounting jumping out of a plane. So I think what that story sort of resonates as you go through these 5 things is that when you think of jumping out of a plane, I would never do that, but I can, even just the idea of it, my heart rate sort of jumps up a little bit, right? You feel your blood pressure moving up a little bit. High performers are not sort of sitting back, staying safe, maintaining an even keel heartbeat. They're getting out there and immersing themselves in risk and sort of unknown territory, and pushing up against their boundaries to break through them. Okay, so getting the blood pumping, right? So he talked about these 5 things: raising your ambition. Are you waking up each day and just trying to get through the day? Or are you actually sort of embracing what's in front of you? Are you sitting, concentrating on where you've been in the past and what your, current situation might be to limit you in where you think you can go moving forward? High performer does not allow past or present circumstance to inhibit them. In fact, if anything, they use it as a motivation to move forward. Dream big and then own your dream. Okay. If you don't own your dream, you won't feel the motivation to work for it and to fight for it every day. And that leads us to the second thing that he talked about with high performers. High performers are fighting for something. There's something that you are passionate about, that you are in love with, that gives you that desire to want to work hard and put energy and effort into something. And that could be something for yourself that you love, or it could be, another person, maybe your family, for example, that if you, just saying that you have ambition is sort of only the first part of it, but then fighting to see your success and how it rewards something that you care about in your life. Again, a habit of a high performer. This one is where I really think is interesting. And I just loved this perspective because we don't hear about it enough. We hear so much about how you have to spend all this time on social media to get yourself known and visible, and keep yourself in front of your clients, because that's how so many consumers are internalizing and digesting the world that we're in today. We also hear a lot about how you sort of end up down this rabbit hole where you lose time, right? One click or swipe after another. But this is what I think really got me. I hadn't heard it in this context before. And Brendan shared, he said, the average person swipes 1,100 times a day. That we could all probably have guessed. But what he said that does, there are two things that are subconsciously happening with all of those swipes. And this is where I think you can really maybe step back and reflect and see if this makes sense to you when you hear it. The first thing he says is that subconsciously, your swipe, 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 you are passing judgment at a high rate of speed of whether that content is meaningful to you, important to you, whether it's something that you want to take more of or move on from. Okay. So passing judgment quickly, it's training your brain to do that. And number two, it's encouraging you and training you to compare yourself to others, because whether you recognize it or not, as you're swiping and making those judgment calls about whether you can relate or not relate, whether something's meaningful or valuable or not, you are also subconsciously comparing yourself to the people that you're seeing in your feed. So think about what that does to your mindset subconsciously through those 1,100 swipes, passing judgment and comparing yourself to others. And then are you subconsciously taking those qualities out of that time and applying it into the everyday human interactions in your life? Are you instinctively passing judgment on people before giving yourself or them the opportunity to, maybe find connection? Are you quietly comparing yourself? And in doing that, are you sort of diminishing your quality or capabilities in a relationship? I thought that was really, out of all the mindset things, I really like that the most, and what his message was, as a high performers are getting their mind back. They are hitting the reset button, not allowing those sort of subconscious, judgment and comparative qualities the social media has sort of given us take hold. Okay. So think about that. Honor the struggle. High performers don't go sit in the corner or bail out in hard times. So if you're struggling now, or if you have in the past, take a look at that and see where you're showing up. Because when you do show up, when you do take action and you do push through the mud, you're going to put yourself in a class of high performers who are doing the same thing. Okay. And then finally, jump all in. Like I said, underlying message with Brendan, get the heart rate going, get the blood pumping. High performers do things with sort of an all-in mindset, an all or nothing. I'm going to go for it. They are not inhibited so much by the fear of failure. Not that the fear of failure doesn't exist for a high performer, but they just don't let it prevent them from taking action and moving forward. And, it doesn't keep them standing still. So those were some of the cool things that I really enjoyed from Brendan's presentation. And that also brings us to our second freebie. And I did check, it's a little bit small, but this QR code does work. So if you have any interest in receiving this free resource from eXpCon, it is available to every eXp agent. Brendan has a platform called Growth Day. I'm still getting to learn it because it was just introduced to me at the convention last week. But you get access to the growth platform for a year for free. This is not a real estate platform. This is just I think more of a personal growth platform. For those of you who have done any wellness training with me, I think you'll know that I appreciate this type of reminder in our day-to-day lives that we need to concentrate on personal wellness, on mindset, on mental health. And I like the way that Growth Day is set up. There's an opportunity to journal, and there are multiple ways that you can take content. So if you just wanted to hear Brendan's, 15-minute daily message, you can play it on the way to work in the car, on the way to the office or on the way to an appointment. If you wanted to actually dig in a little bit deeper, he brings on a lot of other personal development coaches to give guidance on more specific areas. But I thought it was just a pretty robust app, and it's free. So if you'd like to give it a try, I encourage you to do that through the QR code. Okay, so let's shift gears. We're going to kind of, our last big leg of covering what went on at the convention is things that are happening with the brokerage. overall message, and it has remained consistent for as long as I've been with eXp, coming up on my 3-year anniversary. But even well before that, it's documented that Glenn Sanford continues to work to grow and build and evolve to be the most agent-centric brokerage on the planet. Okay, that is sort of that's the tagline. There's also this idea of, if you feel like you're coming from a business that owns you, hopefully as you come to eXp, or if you've just taken on that mindset in the past, start to think about your business and real estate as a business that you own, not a business that owns you. That's important, because I know myself, I talk to a lot of agents who forget that as a realtor, they are their own business person. They're their own CEO, their own entrepreneur. Okay, so take the reins of that, take control of that, and lean in, leverage the brokerage and how it can help you build your business. And then the last thing, a great reminder, build a business, leave a legacy. I think that's another very important tenet of the brokerage, and that message came through again last week at the convention. So what are the tangible things that we can talk about that are happening all around the country and all around the world as eXp continues to grow? We've hit 89,000 agents, which is our all-time high. And again, going back to when we talked about market share and growth, I think agent count continues. We will continue to see that number grow as our market evolves, as we see some players in our space change, and agents continue to work to find the right fit to help them in their business moving forward. One of the things that they talked about with the brokerage, you may or may not know that eXp has a national agent advisory council. I think they also have a agent advisory council for Canada, and then maybe an international one as well. But what they've now done is layer on a level of advisory councils at the state level. What I think is really good about this is that, think back to your high school days and student council, right? You have the student population, then you have student council taking the needs and wants of the student population and delivering them to management. That's what your agent advisory council is. And now to not only have a national level council, but to have a state level council. Every state in the United States has a local agent advisory council to be that bridge. So if you have specific issues in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, you now have an agent advisory council, eXp agents, where you can take that, those requests or those needs or those, wish list items and get help on them. Okay. We do have agents in New Jersey that I got to meet last week at eXpCon. And I think if this is something that you're interested in, wherever you're looking to grow your business, whether you're looking on the client side or maybe some of these sort of brokerage or board of realtor service components appeal to you, this could be a great way for you to give back, get involved, and expand your reach as a member of your either state level or national AAC. Really cool thing. I always thought, coming from a REMAX where, independently owned and operated, we had to come up with our own systems for agent commission payments. So coming to eXp and telling agents they just have to scan their check and settlement statement and they'll get paid in 24 to 48 hours, most times 24, so long as your compliance is in a good place. Well, eXp is talking about accelerating that even more. They've already launched in a couple of states. I don't believe New Jersey or Pennsylvania are among the short list, but there are a couple of states that are actually in real-time commission processing, where they're talking about actually accelerating from 24 to 48 hours to like 10 to 15 minutes or maybe an hour or two. Okay. So just when you thought something was super awesome, they're working to make it better, agent centric. The other thing that they're working on, this is not something that's out there currently, but if you are an agent that's plugged into RevShare or want to get plugged into RevShare, you might understand that that's just sort of a monthly thing, that it's calculated all throughout the month, but then payments are pushed out once a month to any agent who's due revenue share dollars. They're looking at taking that real-time payment system and expanding it to RevShare too, so that agents don't have to wait 30 days for their next rev share payment. They can tap into it sooner, almost like an ATM. So I'm curious to see how that will look. eXp is dipping their toe in the AI waters with a platform called Luna. If you haven't tried it out or you haven't seen it, you can go on to Workplace and just type in Luna into the search bar, and you'll get connected to Luna, the AI agent support bot. Okay. Once you set up your first interaction, your first engagement with Luna, it will then become a message in your chat. So if you're familiar with Workplace and you maneuver around there a lot. So again, find Luna in Workplace. And then once you engage with Luna the first time, it creates a chat feed in your chats where you can easily just pick up with your next request. What's really cool about it is if you need something in the brokerage, and whether it's 10 o'clock at night or you just don't feel like going into eXp world, or just hoping to get, quickly directed to a resource, Luna can help you do that. So if you need to know how to change your bank account, need a copy of the current policy and procedure manual, you can go in, request that of Luna and get assistance. I will say, full disclosure, that I think it's got some work to do, not nearly as robust as, say, we're looking at a chat GPT, for example. But I think that the underlying concept applies, that Luna is learning, just like chat GPT is learning. But it's certainly worth giving it a try. And again, going back to agent-centric brokerage, working to bring, as much support and information to the agent in ways that they need to receive it as possible. And then the last thing, this is super important, especially for any of you agents who are Icon, who are full capping agents. If you were working towards Icon status and previously were leveraging the shareholder summit to get your $2,000 in stock awards to fully Icon, you can now replace that with what are known as regional rallies. The shareholder summit of 2023 was the last. There will be no shareholder summit going forward, and they are being replaced by these regional rallies. There are currently, I think, close to 25 different rallies scheduled for the first 2 weeks of November. If you just attend one of those rallies, you can get your $2,000 stock award as an Iconing agent. Okay. There's also additional benefit. This is not just for Icon agents. If you are an agent who just wants an opportunity to get to meet people in person, get to know other agents within eXp in your market, and get some education and motivation, maybe you couldn't make the trip to Vegas, but maybe you want to get in front of some of these great motivating and educating sort of nugget giving agents, a regional rally can be a great way to do that. I'm going to be attending the Philadelphia region rally, which is, I think, the closest one for all of us. There is one in New York, but it's in Melville, which I think is a little bit further. The one for the Philadelphia region is on November 6th. So it's coming up pretty quick, about, less than a month away. You can get an early bird ticket through the 15th. And so that'll save you $10. And it's in East Norriton, PA. So it's maybe like an hour and a half from where I am. And I think it's maybe an hour and 45 minutes. I tested it out from, say, the Red Bank area from Monmouth County. Okay. There are a number of other rallies around the country to consider too. So going back to what I mentioned before, keeping in touch with other agents. If referrals are or could be a big part of your business, regional rallies could be a great way of moving beyond your market, your immediate market, to get to know other agents in other markets as well. So if you want to know more about regional rallies in general, or if you want to find the Philadelphia rally to get your ticket, you simply go into Workplace, type in regional, and you'll find the regional rally training Workplace page. And then there's also a web link, which will give you more information about all the locations. These are all of the rally locations that they've got set up for the first 2 weeks of November, and they will be doing this on a regular basis going forward. You can't attend more than one rally and get more than one $2,000 credit. It's still, a maximum of a $2,000 stock award for those icons out there. But again, think, a great alternative to what would have just been limited to the shareholder summit. Look at all these different markets that you can get into and get to meet other agents. Okay. Thanks, Jean. Okay, so let's head back. We're wrapping up with a few other important things that are happening in the brokerage. Okay. These next couple of things regarding RevShare were actually mentioned in June. They were rolled out in June, July, and then going into August with our updated policies and procedures and ICA. But many of you may not realize, or, if you're not fully plugged in to the RevShare program or understand it, you may have overlooked it. So I just want to take, 60 seconds to mention them. First thing, our brokerage previously said that in order to max out and leverage the absolute top percentages in the RevShare platform, you had to have 40 frontline qualifying agents. Qualifying agents mean they are your level one. They're sponsored by you directly, and they have to be qualifying. They have to be producing, have to have closed at least one deal in the last 6 months. Our brokerage has reduced that number from 40 to 30, and that is now reflected in the ICA and the policies and procedures. So that tells you that, again, not only are they working to be the most agent-centric brokerage on the planet, but they're putting it in writing and putting it in their contract with you. So if you can achieve 30 FLQAs, you're going to get that same max benefit in RevShare. Okay. eXcelerate is a really cool platform, which I don't think got a lot of press when it was rolled out, but it was shared again at the convention. eXcelerate is a platform that if you as an agent come into eXp, you're new to the brokerage, for the first 12 months, your levels 2 and 3 are automatically unlocked. Well, what does that mean? Typically, if you came into eXp and were plugged into the RevShare program, the only way that you can get payouts on level 2 and level 3 would be if you have 10 people on your front line that are closing deals, 10 FLQAs. Well, now for your first year, if you bring people into the brokerage with you, you get levels 2 and 3 open, even if you don't have 10 on your level 1. So again, just another incentive. If you are talking to an agent or think that you know of a team leader or a team member who would be well suited to eXp, this could be a really great program to talk about as you have those conversations and sort of compare apples to apples between what the brokerages are offering. The last one that's really cool is Boost. Boost is a platform specifically to target the mom and pops, the independent brokerages all around the country and all around the world who can benefit from financial support to make the move to eXp. Okay, so eXp can step in and provide financial resources to help that independent transition from their own mom and pop shop to a team within eXp. There are specific criteria that have to be met, but again, I think it's just important today that you understand that this program exists. So if there's somebody in your circle, a team leader, a broker manager that you think could really benefit, maybe they're feeling the struggle of the market with all of the responsibility as an independent on their shoulders. This is something that feel free to reach out to me. I can put you in touch with people or go back to Workplace. You can get more resources there too on Boost. Okay, a couple of last things. These are cool. And again, get your phones ready. We have a couple of QR codes. There's a new platform called eXp Exclusives. This was just launched last week, so it is new. And I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like. eXp Exclusives is a platform that houses all eXp listings and will allow you to house your coming soon and off-market deals to other eXp agents. Okay. It's new, so there's not a whole lot that I can maybe show you specific to our market in the Mid-Atlantic, but you will have the ability to go and search office exclusives. So any eXp agent that has an exclusive now has a platform to market that listing to all eXp agents around the country. So where before you might have thought, oh, great, I'm going to go into every state group in workplace and post my listing, one state at a time. Now you have this one central platform to do it, to give your off-market property as much exposure while remaining compliant as possible within our eXp community. You have the ability, once you set it up, once you activate your account, that you can look at office exclusives like I have tagged here, or you can expand it to include all eXp listings. You can set your market. You can, make sure that you add and update your profile, put your photo. There is a component to this that does allow you to share your link on social media with the consumer. I am still, full disclosure, exploring that to understand. And I'm going to go on the total assumption that eXp, working with the owner of this platform, Zenlist, has done everything that they needed to do to ensure compliance here. There is a way for this information for you to get a link, which you would do if you go under, I think it's under clients. I'm still learning my way. But there's a way that you can get a link, maybe it's under the profile, that you can share on social media. I don't want to take time up now but you can share it on social media where the consumer can now have access to this feed. If you want to test it out, if you want to explore it a little bit and see how it works, a couple of things I want to make sure you understand. Zenlist is the owner of the software platform. eXp has a partnership with Zenlist for what they're calling eXp exclusives. When you select this QR code, it's going to give you free access to eXp exclusives. So if you sort of go down this path and you try to register and you're prompted for a credit card, stop. You're in the wrong place and something went wrong. And I can tell you from experience, because this is exactly what happened to me, and I had to sort of get my initial registration canceled and start over. The thing that you want to make sure of is when you get started and you select to sign up, you want to sign up with your email. Don't sign up. It'll give you options like sign up with Google, sign up. I don't know what the other ones were, but there's one that says sign up with eXp. Just choose to sign up with your email. And when you get to the point where it asks you for your MLS, do not choose your local MLS like I did. I chose Bright. What you will actually see in the list is eXp. So when it asks you for your MLS, choose eXp from that list, and then it will allow you to move forward, complete your registration, activate your account without bothering you for a credit card. And that's what you want. Okay. So this is, again, it's important. It's free. You should not be paying money. And if you get prompted for a credit card, stop right there, jump into a chat, which I very easily did. I will say Zenlist was fantastic about that. And I had my issue resolved literally in like 5 minutes. Okay. The other thing that I want to share with you, because a lot of us in our prior brokerage models had the ability to do property management, which we aren't doing as agents with eXp. eXp doesn't currently have functionality, or E&O insurance doesn't cover property management services. However, we do now have a new partnership with Home River Group, and here's the QR code for them to learn more about it. Home River Group is providing property management services and is giving referrals back to eXp agents for the business that they feed into Home River. So if you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to this web link that will give you more information. So again, this is just one more way that you can monetize your business and find, clients needing property management now can get you paid. Okay. So all of these services continuing to build on the overall value proposition to the agent, to financially benefit the agent, and for them to see the opportunity that what's happening at eXp goes well beyond the traditional real estate sales model. Okay. And I hope that you're seeing that in the programs that the brokerage is putting out. Okay. A couple last things. We're going a little bit over, but I hope that you're finding this information helpful. These last two things I think are really, really cool, especially when we get into the certifications. Marketing platform. If you are on the marketing center, this may or may not appeal to you. If you're a touchy-feely kind of person, or if you work with a lot of clients that are touchy-feely, My personal thought is that this would really be impressive if you do a lot in like the adult community space, for example. I'm going to sign back in real quick so you can see a good picture of it, but maybe not so much with like the younger demographic. I think younger people are perhaps more impressed when you walk in with an iPad or a laptop and have a great digital presentation. But maybe with older clientele in the adult community space, this particular listing kit could have great appeal. This is a new product that's available in the marketing center. There is a cost. It's not free. The kit is $89 to buy. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you this box and it's going to show your client everything that you will provide to them as part of a marketing kit. So let's say you go out to the listing presentation for 123 Main Street, you're going to bring this sample box. The sample box will show that there's a QR code that, ties back to a property specific website. There are property flyers, there are property postcards, there are door hangers, and there are thank you cards for people who attend the open house. Again, I don't think this is for every agent in every market, but if you think that this is something in your specific niche that could be of value, you can go into the marketing center and buy the presentation kit, which gives you samples of all of these resources. And then when you're ready to go, you just come back in, let's say you secure that listing for 123 Main Street, you're going to come back into the marketing center and then proceed with an active listing kit to purchase all those resources specific to that property, okay, and branded to that property. So just something to think about and pursue. The last big thing that we want to make sure that we cover, let me just check the chat real quick. So you're familiar. Is there a suggestion box? It's a good question, Giselle. If you go and find marketing on Workplace, those feeds are great. Anytime that you have an idea, a thought, a frustration, a challenge, I would love to have this. Do you have this? Any of those questions. Leverage Workplace. That would be a great place to start. And especially too, if you do it in Workplace as opposed to Workplace chat as a private message, there could be other agents who can share resources with you or can share that sort of pain point or need. So having it in a public forum like Workplace as a post is, I think, a great idea if there's something that you want to see come out of the marketing center. So the last thing that I want to make sure that we cover, because I always think there's this hidden value that people don't pay a whole lot of attention to when it comes to revenues and the certification programs that are available with this brokerage. There are, we've grown. There are 2 new ones, actually, and there's even a couple more that aren't on here that aren't part of revenue. So there are 3 new things that I just want to mention when it comes to certifications and ways that you can monetize the work that you're doing. Relocation was already in existence. Relocation meaning eXp contracts with corporate clients who are moving moving buyers and sellers all around the country. And you as an eXp agent can take on that referral and get paid for it. Same thing, affinity and relocation are all sort of in the same space. The idea being that eXp is generating the lead and passing the lead on to you. Bundle Select is one of the new ones that you can get certified in. And it sort of takes almost the reverse approach that if you know of a corporate client in your space, whether it's someone that you know through real estate or maybe not, that you want to go into relationship with your real estate services, you can leverage the Bundle Select certification to be the face to that business from an HR standpoint. For their real estate needs. So let me give you an example. This is like a totally high level example, and they made it clear that Walmart is not available, so not to ask for it. But let's say you know a high level executive at Walmart, and Walmart has a great internal website, all of their human resource benefits. So not just your medical and your dental insurance, but maybe they work with local vendors that deliver, carpet cleaning services and moving services and, grocery delivery services and, massage discounts, or I don't know, the list could go on and on. But the idea is that a company like Walmart wants to deliver a really robust suite of benefits to its employee base. Bundle Select allows you as an agent to say, I want to go to Walmart and be the agent, the face of the real estate services to that employee population. If you are Bundle Select certified, you will work with a department within Revenues. So Revenues is like a broader referral division segment of eXp. And then there are sort of subsegments, and Bundle Select would be one of them. You would work with the brokerage to identify that employer and then start the conversation about how you could be that person. In addition to that, you have the ability as the agent to say, I want to receive the leads, or I'm happy to have the Revenues department hand out the leads. That's especially beneficial if you're working with an employer like Walmart that's extending beyond just your local market. Having Revenues take responsibility for dishing out those leads to other agents all around the country can be super beneficial to you. And because that lead came from that Bundle Select resource, from that employer that you secured, you're going to get a referral every time they close a deal. Or you can keep the lead for yourself and receive commission. There are fees that go back to eXp that are associated with this. And there is like a buy-in fee, just like there's a buy-in fee on luxury certification of $2,500. The buy-in fee on Bundle Select is $1,000 a year. That sounds like a lot, and I agree it's hefty. But if you are an agent that can immediately identify at least one or two employers in your space, where you have at least one or two connections, where this could be a really great moneymaker for you, I encourage you to explore it a little bit further. This was hard launched at eXpCon, so it's very new. So you'll want to go to the Revenues group in Workplace and ask about Bundle Select to learn more. Making It Rain was existing. That's not new. Institutional Investment Services is new. And that's another certification where what eXp is looking to do is help agents who are looking to become ultra experts in the investor space, and specifically institutional investors. So if you have an interest and maybe you've dipped your toe a little bit and gotten some exposure to institutional investment through express offers, I encourage you to take a look at this certification and explore it a little bit further. Again, building out your resume, having access to all of these programs that are going to give you a much sharper tool belt to handle all your clients' needs. REO is not new. That one was already in existence too. That was the last one. The other thing that I just want to mention, there are 3 programs that are not on this list with Revenues that I want to make sure that you know about. There's the Military Referral Network, not new, but if you have served in the military, or if your spouse has served in the military, you can qualify to plug into the Military Referral Network. There is the luxury certification, which again does have a hefty price tag to enter. But if it's a market that you're looking to tap into, I encourage you to explore it further. And finally, there's a new green certification, and there's a name for it, eXp Green Fundamentals, which is similar. You might see your local board have a green designation. You can get an eXp Green Fundamentals certification. So again, you can find all those things if you go to Revenues or if you go into Workplace and search for them. The last thing that I'll just mention, and then I'm going to go get myself a cough drop, is that I did tell you that there were updates coming with KV Core. There are new marketplace add-ons that I'm not going to go into detail today, but if you wanted to spend more money to enhance your CRM, there are some pretty cool things that are happening in the marketplace that we will be talking about in our KV Core training. There are some website enhancements, so more options to help you create the visual experience that you want for the public-facing website and for the consumer coming to your website. So less restrictive than it was before, which I think is great. And then one thing that I think is really cool, because I believe that so many of us have felt the limitation where if you were using KV Core and property alerts, you were limited to 2 property alerts for one consumer, for one client contact. Now you have the ability to expand that to 5 Why is that so important? Because in the market that we're in, where so many markets have such tight inventory, the ability to expand and have 5 different searches running at one time can help get more results in front of your client and help you demonstrate value that much more. Okay, so on that note, mentioning that we're going to talk about KV Core in some future training, I just wanted to take a quick second. I'm just going to throw up here on the screen what we've got coming up in terms of training. So if you look the second half of November, and all of our trainings, same place, 10 o'clock every Wednesday morning, same Zoom link. So if you got to us today, it's the same place that you'll find us every other Wednesday, with the exception of Triple Play Wednesday. And then we're also going to be doing some additional training. If you're brand new to KV Core, or you feel like, okay, this is the year when I'm finally going to tackle a CRM, we're going to layer on some additional training on KV Core for beginners. So if you've gone through some of my KV Core bootcamp before, stick with these Wednesday at 10 a.m. trainings. If you need more and want to go from the start, then I think the Wednesdays at noon will be great for you. And those we're going to be starting next week with how you get going with your KV Core account. Okay, so I think that just about wraps it up for us. I'm just going to tell you one last thing, that we don't have to go and deal with the time change next year. eXpCon 2024 is not headed back to Vegas, but instead we'll be going to Miami, and we'll be held at the Miami Beach Convention Center. The dates have already been announced. It's going to be a few weeks later too, which I think is a really good idea. I feel like sort of a little bit deeper into the fourth quarter works better for where people are in their business and their pipeline. Things slow down a little bit at that point. So I hope that you'll consider attending. It's a fantastic way to network, to interact, plug into your brokerage. And like I said, get that bit of energy to come back, reinvigorated and motivated to do some really cool things in your business. So I hope you got benefit out of this and feel like you just took the tour of Vegas in 4 days. I went over 60 minutes, but I feared I would, because we certainly did cover a whole lot of ground. If you have questions about anything that you saw today, or want to know, where you can plug in further, feel free to reach out to me. Or go through your team leader too, because they all know how to reach me as well. And I'm happy to help you get connected. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your time. Hope you'll plug into EXP and all that our great brokerage has to offer.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll have a great day. Yeah, please jump in, Giselle.
Can you share Home River again, the QR code,
Yes,
please?
absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go back to my share. Is there any, while I'm up there, are there any other QR codes that people want to see again? Here's Home River. There we go. There's Home River. So that is for, yeah, sure thing. That again is for property management. If you are interested in referring a client, getting paid for it. Any others? Do we need any of the freebies? This was the exclusives. And then we can go back to Brendan Burchard and Growth Day. And the last one, if you want a little celebrity in your life, you can get Tarek's free book. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the feedback. And thank you, everybody. I hope you got something out of this. Michelle, even being there, I hope that there was something that you might have been able to take away. I was so glad that you were there, and I hope that more people will take advantage of that, especially being in Miami next year. So put that on your radar, put it in your business plan so that you can commit to it and make it happen next year. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What hotel are we staying at in Miami?
We got to figure that out, Jesse. You got any suggestions?
I got a couple. The one in South Beach or Fountain Blue's pretty cool too.
Well, let's put something together. Maybe if we get everybody on the same page now, we can. I'm going to see if I can find out. They haven't put together like the list of like lodging discounts like they did last year for Miami yet. So
Lowe's is also really nice.
Lowe's, yes, I'm familiar with Lowe's. Those are all good. I'm excited to explore a little bit of Miami and South Beach. So, and more good food. You missed out on a great steak dinner, Jesse. I'm just saying.
We'll go to Carbone over there in Miami. Actually, no. I got a couple places for you. Don't worry.
Nice. All right, let's go. Let's plan it out. I expect to see you there.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Have a great one. Thanks, everybody.